Hello, this is National Chess Master Rats continuing my video series of the correspondence team match played between my video lessons group at chess.com versus CARPE DIEM. This was played down on board 42. We have about a mid 1900 rating of our guy, Kevin 9512, versus SundarS mid 1800. We have a little bit of a ringer down here on the 42nd board. Kevin 9512 has a FIDE Master title. These games both ended by a time loss by the player from Carpe Diem. The outcome was still in doubt in both. So it's a shame that one loses a game because they don't show up to play. It's an advantage of getting a premium membership, I suppose, because if you get a premium membership, you have timeout protection. It'll just automatically put you on vacation. So. My team won both games, but who knows what would have happened had the game continued. Now we're in a Smith-Morra Gambit declined. Our C3 Sicilian, they're all related, Alpine Sicilian, and the game seems to stay relatively even. Not much is really going on. White accepts the isolated queen pawn. Now here with this move, Black indicates he's not going to castle. Probably at all. It'll be dangerous to castle queenside. Black's hoping to get some kind of an attack against the enemy king, and here he picks up a pawn, but it's kind of a poison pawn. Now here, White's threatening the pawn on h7, but Black just jettisons it, lets it go, opts to develop a piece. White doesn't take it yet. He will here take it in a moment, and there it goes. And now the Black king parks himself on e7. So he could be exposed there. It's hard to say. So I've seen many times the king gets on this square and he gets in trouble. But for White to do anything, he's going to have to get on a rook on the e file and try to get a knight check on d5 or f5. And right now that's not clear how he's going to set that up just yet. And here, Black opts not to exchange queens, and the position's relatively close to even. Maybe White has an advantage because of the outside pass pawn. Look at it, chess.com. It's moving its pieces on its own. I didn't touch anything. Black gets this check in, but he just doesn't have a follow-up to continue the mate threat. And now the king goes back to the back rank, and the rooks are no longer connected. And it looks like White's getting a good game here, and creates a little haven maybe for the bishop. But I think this next move by Black is wrong. It really softens up his position. And Black is kind of hanging on the ropes here. Well, look, is it doing it again? No. Okay, so now White just grabs this pawn. So it's essentially a free pawn. And White uncorks a little combination. The point being, Black cannot take the rook on c5 because he gets back rank mated. But Black has a resource here. He gives up the queen for two rooks, and I wanted to change the position. We now have the final position. It was at this point that White lost on time, and I'd say the outcome's in doubt, and maybe White's even better here. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure White's better. Okay, let's go ahead and take this pawn. Now this pawn's under attack. Black can't afford to give up any more pawns. The two rooks are better than the queen, but the rooks are not working together. All the black pawns are weak, and the white pawns are mobile. I think theoretically, with proper play, the position is a win for White. So unfortunately, we missed a potentially interesting finish. There really isn't much of these games because of the time forfeit. But I think both sides played fairly well. Black made a few little imprecise moves, and White just didn't have enough going here to get a decisive win. With a few Black mistakes that were made, and as I said, I think the game ended prematurely. Let's bring up the other game And this too is a loss on time. And I think black was getting the better of this at one point, and then the outcome. Well, look at what it's doing. It backed him up, now put him back. Amazing. Fix your interface. Okay, wasn't doing that, but it's doing it. Okay, saves the bishop. Now I guess the bishop has a safe square on f2. It doesn't go there. Now it's funny how white didn't take the king knight, but he took the queen knight. Anyway, white's light squares are a little weak now. And now he took the knight, got some weak pawns over there. So we have a position where 2 knights versus 2 bishops, and these are always interesting, especially if you get to an ending. If the position opens up, the bishops will dominate. If the position stays closed, the knights will dominate. So what's happening here? Well, black is probably going to get either e5 or c5 in at some point, and that's really going to help the bishops. I'm thinking in the long run, black is doing better here. But white made a very strange move. It's not one I would have expected. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm just saying it's a strange move. He sacrifices a knight for 2 pawns, and it's bad enough to potentially have 2 knights against 2 bishops in an open board. But just to grab 2 pawns, I don't think that's enough compensation, especially since the disappearance of these pawns opens up lines for the black pieces. So, wait, now hit the wrong button. Okay, now the pieces are coming off the board, and I'm liking black's game. I'm thinking black is probably theoretically winning here. Black, no matter how you slice it, black has an extra piece. White has pawns, but that doesn't have to be enough. And black is just happy to liquidate down to an ending, and here he's able to get another pawn. So did black bungle that? Could he have held on to that pawn? Maybe he couldn't. Maybe this is all part of white's strategies. But even then, 3 pawns isn't usually enough for the piece. And but maybe white's okay. But I would feel more comfortable playing with the 2 bishops because I know I shouldn't lose. I'm not sure if I can win with white, and I'm not sure that I can avoid defeat. But again, the game ended prematurely. It's going to go a few more moves, and I think that was a mistake by black. White's going to end up with a outside pass pawn, and black can't do anything about it. And here, after pawn takes, you can't take back the bishop because you step into a fork. Now white has 2 outside pass pawns. Even though they're doubled, black is going to have to keep an eye on it, and that bishop has lost his mobility. Bishop can't really do anything. At some point, black may have to send his king over to try to collect these pawns. So maybe white's getting some. I think white's probably getting somewhere now, but it didn't have to be this way. And at this point, the game ended as black lost on time. With correct play, I don't think black should lose. But this bishop has become a little bit of a problem. How to get it in the game? And at the same time, it's one of these bishops has to stay with access to the king side just so that this pawn doesn't become dangerous. Let's back it up to when black played h5. Let's see. Okay, so I think h5 was a mistake. Let's just keep the pawn here. Now the one question is, how does this bishop get in the game too? I guess it's not. Maybe white does have the play. Didn't point that out earlier. Did that bishop ever have a chance to get in the game? Let's see. Here's where we got the queens off. Okay, queen's under attack. Check. Okay, check again. Now what if the bishop came to d3 right now? Knight f4 could come in, and that pawn's going to fall on d5. Okay, so not yet. Okay, now d3's out of the question. Maybe what black needs to play is f5 right here. Well, that could drop this a pawn here. Knight takes, pawn takes, rook takes, but black's still a piece ahead. And I think the piece is better than the pawns. So by playing this way, his chances of getting that bishop out are just vanishing. And now the bishop on e7 is under attack. And now f5 is impossible. So, it just seemed peculiar to give up the piece for the pawns, but I guess White's holding his own, but can White win this? I think the way Black played it, yeah, he very well could. The knight on d5 is dominating. The bishop on d8 is passive. The bishop on g6 is passive. Was there any way Black could have gotten that bishop out after this initial sacrifice? Let's see. Now the queen's under attack. You got to save it. How about queen b5 instead? This breaks the communication between the queen and the rook. So, and it also keeps the queens on. White's choices are queen c2. Now he can't play queen c2. The bishop's on it. Yeah, me and my one movers. Okay. Rook check doesn't go anywhere. Knight c3 is a possibility. Let's see. Well, the point is, if queen takes, pawn takes, suddenly there's some pressure here. And looks like Black's getting some activity here. That might have been a better choice. The alternative, knight c3, could be met by bishop b4. Now, queen takes is a threat. So queen takes again, pawn takes. Now a3 gets a tempo, but take, and bishop d3. If this goes into this line, Black is clearly winning this. This bishop will anchor itself on c4. It will give up this pawn. I'm not too worried about that pawn. Black has plenty of good moves at his disposal. Here's one of them. Black is just better off here. 4 pawns against 6 and a head apiece. He'll win this. So let's see. Can White have improved any way, shape, or form? Bishop b4. King e2. No, can't play king e2. It's a check. Okay, king f2. Now bishop takes, threatening the queen again. So got to stop and take this. And we have this move again, with or without taking on a2. This move stymies White. Anyway, that could have happened, but it didn't. So it's too bad the games didn't go further on, and would have been interesting to see how those imbalanced positions would have turned out. Anyway, getting caught up slowly but surely. Be patient. You get your 2 games in. I will get your video. I just can't get them right away until I get caught up. Thanks.